Do you ever wake up full of motivation, only to feel it vanish by the afternoon? One moment you're ready to conquer the world, the next you're scrolling aimlessly on your phone, wondering where all that energy went. Motivation is powerful, yes, but it's unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather, and if you're depending on it to shape your life, you'll constantly find yourself starting strong, but never finishing. The Stoics knew this truth thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and none of them relied on fleeting bursts of motivation. Instead, they built their lives on something far more durable: discipline, the steady daily practice of doing what must be done, whether they felt like it or not. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Why Stoic discipline outlasts motivation, how to cultivate it in your own life, and how it can transform you into someone who doesn't just start, but who finishes, someone who doesn't just dream, but who lives with purpose. Part 1, the problem with motivation. Motivation feels amazing. It's the spark of inspiration, the fire in your chest, the voice that says, I can do this. But the truth is, motivation is like sugar. It gives you a quick rush, a sudden burst of energy, but it doesn't last. Think about New Year's resolutions. Every January, gyms are packed with people overflowing with motivation. But by February, the treadmills are empty again. Why? Because motivation fades when life gets inconvenient. When results don't come fast enough, when the emotional high disappears. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself I have to go to work as a human being." Notice, he doesn't say wait until you feel motivated. He says get up, do your duty, live as a human being should. The Stoics understood what modern psychology confirms. Relying on motivation is a trap. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never achieve anything meaningful. Part 2, what discipline really is. So what is discipline? Many people think it's about forcing yourself through misery, about grinding endlessly with no joy. But the Stoics saw discipline differently. Discipline to them was freedom. Epictetus taught his students, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Discipline is the practice of becoming your own master. It's training yourself to act according to reason and principle, not emotion or impulse. Motivation says do this if you feel like it. Discipline says do this because it's who you are. When you live with discipline, your actions stop depending on the ups and downs of mood. You go to the gym not because you feel motivated, but because it's simply what you do. You write, you study, you work. You show up because you have chosen a path and you stick to it. That's discipline. Consistency in action guided by values rather than feelings. Part 3, Marcus Aurelius and the morning battle. Let's return to Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who ruled the most powerful empire in the world and while also practicing Stoic philosophy every single day. Despite his position, Marcus struggled with the same things we do. He admits in his writings that he often didn't want to get out of bed. He was tired, overwhelmed, sometimes unmotivated. But he reminded himself, you were born to work, not to waste time in bed. The bees, the ants, the sparrows, they rise to play their part in nature. Why not you? This is discipline in action. Marcus didn't wait for the feeling of motivation. He reminded himself of his duty, of his purpose. He saw life as a role to be played, and each day was his opportunity to fulfill it. And think about this. Marcus wasn't just writing philosophy in peace and comfort. He was doing this while leading armies, handling political crises, dealing with betrayal, famine, and war. If a man with the weight of an empire on his shoulders could still practice discipline, what excuse do we have? Part 4, modern examples of Stoic discipline. Fast forward to today, you see athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, leaders, and people achieving extraordinary things. Do you think they're motivated every day? Of course not. Take a marathon runner. Do you think they wake up every morning excited to put in miles? In the cold, in the rain? No. But they lace up their shoes anyway because they're disciplined. Or a writer? The blank page is intimidating. But the disciplined writer sits down daily, even when the words feel stuck. They don't wait for inspiration, they create it by showing up. Even in business, discipline is what separates the successful from the rest. Motivated entrepreneurs start companies. Disciplined entrepreneurs keep them alive when motivation has burned out. The truth is, behind every motivated success story is someone who built systems, habits, and routines that carried them through. The days when motivation was nowhere to be found. Part 5. The Stoic formula for building discipline. So how do we actually build Stoic discipline in our own lives? The Stoics give us a clear path. Step 1. Define your principles. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. You can't live with discipline if you don't know what you stand for. Decide what matters most to you. Health, wisdom, service, creativity. Once you know your principles, your actions have direction. Step 2. Start small but be consistent. The Stoics believed in gradual progress. Seneca wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." Don't try to change everything at once. Instead, pick one habit, and waking up earlier, journaling, exercising, and commit. Do it daily without fail. Step 3. Expect discomfort. Discipline requires doing things you don't always enjoy. But the Stoics taught us to reframe discomfort as training. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle is fuel for growth." Step 4. Separate feelings from actions. You don't have to feel like doing something in order to do it. This is the key Stoic insight. When the alarm rings, don't ask, "Do I feel motivated?" Instead ask, "What's my duty?" The feeling is irrelevant. The action is what matters. Step 5. Reflect daily. The Stoics practiced journaling and reflection. At night, Seneca would review his day. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day, measuring my deeds and words. Reflection strengthens discipline because it keeps you accountable to yourself. Part 6. Why discipline brings freedom. Here's the paradox. Most people think discipline is restrictive, but in reality, it's the ultimate form of freedom. Think about someone who only acts when they feel motivated. They're actually a slave to their moods, to chance, to fleeting emotions. They can't trust themselves. Now think about the disciplined person. They can rely on themselves. They know that no matter how they feel, they will act according to their principles. That kind of reliability builds confidence, respect, and inner peace. As the Stoics would say, the disciplined life is the rational life. And when you live rationally, aligned with your values, you live freely. Part 7. Bringing it all together. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire. Motivation starts the journey, but discipline carries you to the end. Motivation feels good, but discipline feels right. The Stoics didn't waste time chasing feelings. They built lives on duty, virtue, and reason. They taught us that the way to mastery, the way to peace, the way to true greatness is through discipline. So the next time you don't feel like working, or studying, or training, remember Marcus Aurelius. Remember Seneca. Remember Epictetus. They didn't wait for motivation. They acted because it was right, because it was necessary, because it was their duty. And you can too. Ask yourself, what would my highest self do right now? Then do that no matter how you feel. Because in the end, it's not motivation that builds a life worth living. It's discipline. The Stoic way,